Many Afro Latinos are quick to deny their blackness. In Puerto Rico, they have a saying to call out these self-haters that goes, "Y tu abuela, ¿dónde está?" Literally meaning, "Where is your grandmother?" Which is basically a way of saying, you claim Spanish heritage, but your grandmama is black. There are a myriad of anecdotal stories of people encountering Afro Latinos, specifically Dominicans, who scoff at the notion they have black roots. One such story is from an Afro-American from the Bronx, who indicated that he is often mistaken for being Dominican, and iterated that Dominicans take it as an insult when he, looking at their features, calls them black. Or how about an Afro-American gentleman who was being hit on by an Afro-Dominican woman who was keen on asking him out for a date? Upon conversing with her, it was clear that she had assumed he was Hispanic and was disappointed that he wasn't. She had more African features than anyone in his family and got angry when he called her black. He told her she can be both black and Hispanic, but she was not Spanish. However, she was having none of that. He chalked it up to internalized racism, which is strange since both Haitians and Dominicans share the same island. Yet Dominicans claim no connection and tend to think they are better than Haitians. In fact, there seems to be a recurrent theme of the proverbial Hispanic grandmother who declares, "Casate con un blanquito, porque mejor es la raza," meaning, more or less, marry a white to improve the race. However, in regard to this propensity for self-denial for Afro-Latinos in general, and Dominicans in particular, the question is, what are the roots for such behavior? Well, historically, with respect to the Dominican Republic, President Trujillo, who held power from 1930 to 1961, is often blamed for the racial strife observed there. He, coincidentally, was a light-skinned mulatto from a working-class family in the town of San Cristobal. And, incidentally, his maternal grandmother was Haitian, which, ironically, harkens us back to that saying in Puerto Rico. Until his rise to power, the Americans had occupied the Dominican Republic until 1924, and then Haiti until 1934, 4 years into Trujillo's presidency. Once the Americans left Haiti, subsequently in the 7th year of his reign, he unleashed his army and conscripted civilians to murder thousands of Haitians throughout the border region and beyond. Some have argued that Trujillo may have been engaging in a policy of whitening to modernize and improve the nation. What we do know through diplomatic correspondence and oral histories is that the operation lasted several weeks and had been planned at least a year in advance. Men, women, and children who were black and deemed Haitian were arrested and taken to secluded areas of the Dominican countryside and murdered, mostly by machete, to evade recriminations of a premeditated large-scale operation by the army. Strangely, many of the Haitian people and communities that were targeted were, in fact, bicultural Dominican Haitians, and thus bilingual. But it did not matter to their killers. Witnesses recounted horrifying tales of machete wounds, burning corpses, hiding in the forest for days, and becoming refugees in Haiti. The killings, the Dominican government would later argue, were a defensive reaction by patriotic farmers protecting their lands from Haitian cattle rustlers. One such horrific massacre occurred in 1937 and was dubbed the Parsley Massacre. Uncharacteristically, the murders preceded the ideological campaign to demonize the Haitians. Unlike most calls for the extermination of a group, wherein hateful ideology anticipates the violence, in this case, the anti-Haitian rhetoric followed, which was grounded in the doctrine of anti-Haitianism that defined Haitians and Haiti as historic enemies of the Dominican Republic and a racially inferior other. In contrast, Dominicans were classified under the Eurocentric ideology of Hispanidad and described as white, Catholic, and of Spanish descent. Anti-Haitianism began as a Trujillo project, but it long survived him. However, neither Trujillo himself nor any high government officials were ever punished for this crime against humanity, nor were any truth and reconciliation committees ever assembled. Hence, if any dark-skinned, African-looking Dominican eschews his blackness, know that it comes from a sinister place of self-hatred and psychological defilement of his self-esteem by a colonial enslaver. The person standing before you has a pittance of spiritual development and historical insight of who he really is. He is, in a word, downright pitiful. So this, I know black papa, no es lo mismo, just won't fly.